So I realized that we salespeople, we're always on the run. There's always targets. You can't celebrate too long because your next target is just around the corner. How do people then manage delivering their targets and also spending time on self development? Because I'm beginning to struggle with it. Typically, I like to read, but not anymore. I can tell you this year, I've bought about 6 books on
Mm.
sales and also emotional intelligence. I've struggled to read one
Yeah.
because it's been a lot of work. Even when I'm not working, it seems like my brain is thinking about work. It's the weekend when I'm supposed to be relaxing and taking a break. My brain is literally thinking work, even though my PC is not on. And it
Yeah.
feels like personal development is beginning to fade out of my space and plan, which is a scary thing for me because in the end, if I don't improve myself, if I don't grow, I then begin to recycle old knowledge, and before I know, I'm obsolete in the market. So what do you do? How do you try to manage your time to be able to still spare time for self-development? And if you could recommend some things I could use to help train myself more. I'm core, well, SDR, A&E, and BD. That's what I do. Thanks to the Nigerian system.
I love it. It's a beautiful question, and I'll give my 2 cents. And I would love to open this one up to the room as well as to how do people make sure that they can spend time on that personal development. But Tifa, first and foremost, I give you permission to switch off. Sometimes we do not give ourselves permission and we just keep running and running and running. You are allowed to have time off from whatever you're doing, right? And the other side of it is where you want to be upskilling yourself. This is going to sound a little bit controversial, but a lot of people come to me and say, Neil, what sales books would you recommend reading? And my honest response is none, especially when people are starting out. And I'll give you some context for this. Imagine you had never been driving a car, but you want to drive a car one day. If I gave you a book, which is a theory based book on how to drive a car, none of it would make context. None of it would land. But imagine if you pass your tests and you're 3 to 6 months into driving a car. If I then gave you the book, then you'll be able to put context alongside the content. So a lot of the time, I don't recommend books in the early beginning of your career and you don't have to read. And it's the same with podcasts, right? I get hit with, "No, what podcast would you recommend?" I have my own, but I wouldn't say go listen to all these sales podcasts. What I would say is just go find some interesting things about that industry and learn more about the industry or the people that you're selling to. So, like with Kyle, if you're going into that travel wealth, go find out what's the day in the life like of the person that you're trying to sell to with an MD. That's the sort of stuff. Personally, I block things out of my calendar, T-Face. So let me put it to you this way. On a Friday, after 12 o'clock, nobody is allowed to book any meetings in my calendar. That time is dedicated to me or my son when I have him. I will not take any meeting after 12 o'clock on a Friday. When I'm working through the day, I will give myself buffers. So when we finish coach on call, I take a 20-minute buffer before I even come back to my laptop and do the LinkedIn post. So I step away from it. And when you're trying to learn things, I feel if you force yourself to have to read a book or watch a course or watch a video, you're not going to want to do it. Right. I love content creation. I love podcasting. And on the days where I'm not working or coaching, I like to watch videos about CapCut. I like to watch videos about Canva and transitions. I like to watch TikToks, not for the content, but to see how do people edit. So in my spare time, those are the things that I like to do. But the one thing that I do with ChatGPT, I've got like a PA. It will tell me when to switch off for the day and don't do anymore. It reminds me, stop, because you will keep rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling, right? So give yourself permission to stop, put time in your calendar which is dedicated to the things that you want to do. And this is why we do the admin beforehand to make the rest of the day a little bit easier. But Tiffany, you don't have to do it all. Is that okay?